we're geeking for all. Marvel, DC, Trek, and more.
Fire.
Pop culture battles, settle the score. NerdFights, let's get loud. NerdFights, yeah, for the geeky crowd. NerdFights, hey, it's time to throw down. Bring your fandom, it's the hottest showdown. Who's got the takes? Who's got the heat? Mr. Know-It-All and Salty can't be beat. Let's fight!
That means only one thing. It's time to fight.
Beat drops out with the final shot.
NerdFights.
Let's fight!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to NerdFights. I'm, of course, your host, Mr. Know-It-All. And maybe joining me, maybe not. I don't know, because it might be frozen, is the captain of the Starship, Salty Trekker. We'll see. Are you still with us, sir? Okay, I'm going to guess not. But either way, we're going to talk a whole lot about a bunch of different stuff tonight. What's going on, everybody in the chat? Let's see. Who's got Stan maybe working on a comic book tonight? That's funny. Hey, what's going on, Trek Reviewer? I see you guys there. Trek Reviewer, you got Donna Marchese, you got everybody. Stan, of course. Gotta love you, Stan. I'm sure he will join us in just a moment as soon as technical difficulties allow him. But yeah, man, no, it's there's a lot going on in the world today. I don't know how many of you guys heard seen all the Spider-Man stuff that dropped. I thought that was interesting, all the various BTS stuff. And I'm like, wow, Marvel's really trying to be like, don't worry what's happening here with all the Fantastic Four stuff. It's fine. We're over here doing Spider-Man things. And to the point that they let Tom Holland just start sending stuff out. And I was like, okay, clearly you guys understand. They're like, oh yeah, we want to make sure everybody knows it's good. But yeah, anyway, so hopefully you guys are doing good in the chat. And I know, again, we're going to talk about, of course, Star Trek Strange New Worlds with a somewhat, as far as I'm concerned, a more back to normal episode. That's just my take on it. But yeah, anyways, working on a female Punisher. Are you, Stan? Nice. That's what the world needs. Enjoy Power Player version 2.0. Really? There you go. Does anybody play Marvel Rivals? Seriously, I don't know, man. I jumped off the video game train and then I'm trying to get back into it right now, and it's not as easy as it sounds. So, but yeah. Otherwise, I can't wait to talk to Salty about this episode, because to me, this is an episode of Strange New Worlds that felt very much steeped in sort of the way things have been done in TOS in the past. So I like that. But also, there was an awful lot of new Trekisms, and I don't mean like Discovery new Trekisms. I mean like they had all kinds of a lot of technobabble happening in this episode. So and I was like, interesting. But ultimately, I loved the way it landed. We got to see Pelia in a whole new light, which I thought was cool because she's a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you. Not a problem, Ben. One Eye. I'm trying my best. A little less of an ungodly hour. No, totally. He says, thank you for making the show slightly less ungodly. And then, Stan goes, they just riffed on another TNG episode. They riffed on a couple of TNG episodes, some old Trek stuff. And then the Trek Reviewer says, Strange New World seems to be getting worse with every new episode. I don't see. Okay. I don't know. I thought last week wasn't great. I don't know that I thought that it was bad per se. This definitely felt, there's a lot of strings a lot of balls they're trying to keep in the air. A lot of plates are trying to spin. And for me, it's the whole idea that, yes, we have to keep looking at Spock's relationship stuff, which I really wish I have to hold off. We cannot talk about this episode without Salty, because he's going to go deep lore on me. I know that, because he's the one he's the one who's like, this was this episode, that was that episode. He's the like Trek encyclopedia as far as I'm concerned when he knows stuff. Yeah, I know. No, for real. There you go. Pretending to be souls of an old crashed human ship, but they're non-corporeal criminals from alien race. Find out it's a prison. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, and I actually make that comparison in my review, which it's funny. I'm almost finished editing, and that'll go up this evening, probably after the show, and then into tomorrow. So you guys will get to see my review there. Also, but yeah, man, I thought that was an interesting take about it. I would I would rather watch Major Dad instead of Strange New Worlds. Wow, that's rough, man. It's hardcore. I don't know that I've seen Major Dad. I think I've heard of it. I don't know that I've seen it though. But yeah. But again, I don't know that I needed. I felt like they went a long way to having Ortegas's brother there. It's funny they had Ortega's brother, but not her, and I thought it was interesting. I was like, okay. He said Stanley. Yeah, it's impressive they can get worse. That's funny. Major Dad is free on Tubi. Wow, a free Tubi show, according to the Trek reviewer, is better than Strange New Worlds. It's awesome. I know I have to go check it out. Obviously, I love me some Tubi. Tubi picked up a whole bunch of the stuff from that failed experiment Quibi. I don't know how many of you remember Quibi, the failed experiment that was. Quibi was one of those things where it was a streaming service where, and I'm sure you, not that long ago, I can't remember, but the whole idea was short little hits and tell you short stories, and you can see it either way. And if you're watching the show this way, it's vertical. If you watch it this way, it's wide. Okay. We had a production company, and we were actually in the running to end up being hired by one of the studios to produce one of their shows. Because we had a thing, but they wanted we got to the pitch phase before Quibi made the decision they were only going to do original stuff. If it was something they were buying something else up, like they did a reboot of Reno 911, but for the most part they were going to do that. But yeah, it's oh, they certainly do love the body horror, bro. You're absolutely right. It's funny. The minute I saw the empty sockets, I was thinking to myself, didn't I see this tutorial on Film Riot how to do the empty socket visual effect? Because it was a very simple effect, and it did not in any way, shape, or form look good or original. But that's just that. Yes, it was the vertical one that could go flip either way. And it's funny because we got as deep as getting into how you do that, how you execute that, and we had to essentially you had to film the whole thing in. They want us to film in 8K, and then from 8K they would but you had to film with the idea that it had to be framed for vertical or horizontal. And what you would do is for the horizontal play, it would push in. It was a whole thing. Anyway. What's impressive is the general from Major Dad is still alive. He's 93 years old. Yeah, he's kicking. That's real. But yeah, I mean, my whole problem with the whole Quibi thing, just to kind of bounce back to that for a second, my problem with Quibi was that they didn't think about how to execute storytelling that was micro storytelling. So they literally just took an hour long or an hour and a half long thing and then chopped it up. And that was never effective in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, totally. Phoenix Gundam. He saw the empty socket effect a couple of times in Insta videos. Also, yeah. What's up, brother? Yeah, exactly. It's one of those effects that you're like, really? That's what you guys are gonna go with? Okay, multi-million-dollar series, and you're gonna go with a visual effect that any teenager with After Effects can pull off? Okay, it's a choice. And that kind of does dovetail into Trek reviewers' feelings, even though I do love the show. I love the show in general. I think the show is not doing a horrible job. I think it's probably in its sophomore slump. Hey, what's going on, Aravic? And yeah, Stan, yeah, you can just crop out whatever. Yes, exactly. And that was really that was the idea of what we were supposed to be doing. But again, my big issue was I tried. There were several things I wanted to watch when it came out. And it would just be the beginning setup of a scene. At the 10-minute mark, it would cut cold. And I was like, you guys didn't really think about, like, you had to write them to be short. Like, it has to, even in 10 minutes, it has to have a beginning and an end. So you probably build your scenes around being 10-minute long scenes. That's what I would think. So you only have time to do maybe a setup of a scene and possibly set up of the next scene. But yeah, right, exactly. It was these 10-minute chunks, and it was just a long. So you'd be like, I'm 5 episodes in, and we're barely into Act 2 of the story that they're telling. So anyway. That's a great question, and that's really probably a salty question. How old are the Gorn? Let me see if I can find that myself. It's a great question. I gotta look that up. How old are the Gorn? How old are the Gorn? Let's see. Main cast. Same problem with streaming. They needed to be episodes, not just a 2-hour movie. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's the exact same problem that Marvel and them had when they were trying to do stuff. They're like, it's a 6-hour long movie. It's going to be easy. You can chop it up there. It's like, no, it's not. It's actually, you have to tell a cohesive in and out story. You have, no matter what you're doing in the storytelling you're doing, you have to start it somewhere, end at a logical place that makes me want to keep watching, and then continue the next thing. So it has to be able to live on its own as well as be part of the overall story. Just makes sense. Um, all right, so let's see. According to the wiki, the non-canon wiki, Gorn reached puberty at around 10 solar years and are recognized as adults at about age 14. So yeah, same time as the progenitors. They do make it seem like they're about as long as the progenitors. They actually have, especially now with what happened in this episode, which I was like, what's going on? Like, what kind of weird regressive reptile genetic DNA memory are we tapping into? Especially because all of a sudden she comes out and she's all like saying in language and stuff, and you're like, okay. Did anybody see that Scrofano, the actress who plays Batal, she apparently allegedly did and did not. Like, she may have intimated she's in Spider-Man Brand New Day, but then immediately backpedaled, and I'm like, oh, somebody saw the sniper laser dot. But I don't know if you're being serious or not, Stan. It is, but it's not. If you write it with that in mind, if you say, here's my entire story, it's actually novel writing. So when you go to write a novel, you sit here and you say, okay, where this feels like the place this chapter should end. And most chapters should end with you wanting to either stay in that moment or go to the next thing. Hey, what's going on, Dark Knight? Everybody, welcome Dark Knight. Oh my God, bro. That was awesome. So Dork Knight, for those of you who are playing at home, Dork Knight's a classic host on this show on NerdFights. Love the guy. And he's doing some wrestling covers that was amazing. Like, I wasn't even into wrestling like I used to when I was younger, and then all of a sudden, like, they started doing some interesting things, and then I saw you pop in, and I was like, I have to. What is this? And I watched it, and I was like, this is unbelievable. If you're into wrestling, check him out. Seriously, his stream was pretty awesome. It was dope. He had the whole screen thing going on. It looked great. You look wonderful, sir. So it's very good to see you in the chat tonight for sure. And always understand, son. You always have a place, and we love you. So Salty's got some technical issues. He's going to be joining back hopefully soon, just a little bit. He's probably running around right now, chicken out ahead. He says, let's see, well, that makes kind of more sense than the Meltrons knew them. They were probably just another ancient race that neighboring with them differently than Vulcans to humans. And then he goes, with how bad these writers of Strange New Worlds are, I'm surprised they have not put the Enterprise D series. Hey, what do I see? What's going on there, sir? I wish I could just put. I think I should just put you up as a thing, can't I? Oh my God, Stan, shut up. Stan's like, Dork Knight was responsible for introducing Salty to Mr. Know-It-All. He is. Dork Knight says the second is definitely better than the first, but that first night was terrible. Oh, talk about wrestling. Yeah, totally. Again, Salty, I don't know how much you saw. Dork was doing. Whatever, man. Dude, did you see his wrestling coverage though? It looked decent. Go on X, go to his account. You see them there as well. He was doing about the whole SummerSlam thing, and it was like 3 days or something like that. He was doing great. He did a bunch of predictions. No, it's not. Look, I liked wrestling as a kid. I got into it again this time around just because he was one. I'm like, someone I know is doing a really cool video about it, and it was good. Like, he made me want to watch it again, which I was shocked by. I was like, oh my God, how am I getting pulled into the story? Especially because when he's doing his predictions, bro, Danny is like, bro, you know your stuff, and God bless you for it. Because I was like, okay. Like, at first I was just watching it to be supportive, but then you got me into it, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. So I made sure I tried my best to kind of amplify it and whatnot. The Gorn have a full language, like words and everything. Yeah, it's crazy. We just got into talking about Salty hates wrestling. Stan says, I apologize, sir. Do you? I hope everybody can. Do you want me to put your, even though you're not on camera, do you want me to put your screen up so at least something's there representing you? No, I hear you. It's good, man. No, this was not that week, bro. I apologize. I told you. It was a rough window, seriously. No, I was just so busy. It's crazy. So, and for those of you who know or don't play, I don't. I have a day job, and my day job is I do advertising, audio production, and so there's a week called Release Week. It's the beginning of the month, and I am literally I do 12-hour days, and I warned him last week. I was like, I'm sorry. The week before, I gave you such a whole lot of glut of stuff because that was probably a one-time thing for right now. For until maybe next week I'll have more time. But so far, by the way, we started the chat jumped into the episode. We didn't get too deep. They're Trek reviewer clearly Czech reviewer is clearly hating on it a little, and God love him for it. Stanley's pointing out some. He had some questions about some things, and then Phoenix Gundam was also pointing out a couple interesting points about the whole thing. We're talking about how Batal. It seems like all of a sudden she went deep genetic memory. Like something about whatever this creature thing was, and we clearly talked about the fact that it's a prison ship now, which that's what Stan was pointing out that they were biting off next gen episodes. My point about the episode was, and I said I've got to wait till you get on because I got to talk to you about this. Clearly, this was borrowing from a lot of some other, obviously better / TOS episodes in terms of lore, or at least in style. How about that in style? So Bart was definitely, what are little girls made of? This a little bit of City on the Edge of Forever with the time travel stuff, but it wasn't really time travel. And then they had why is there so much techno babble? I'm like, there's techno babble in that. Even I was like, what is this? Right, right. Phoenix Guns says, or Phoenix Gundam says it's 2 weeks in time. And yes, Dork, this is where the cool kids are hanging out. What line? What was it? Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Go ahead. Wow. Also, Stan, I agree with you in that they clearly already have a holodeck, so they're halfway there. But we're kind of pseudo. I'm pseudo hating on the show because I'm able to laugh at the things that I think are goofy. But I actually agree with Dork Knight. I like the show. I like the show overall. I think they've developed nicely. I'm kind of in. No, I'm. Who's that? No, I believe it's Dork Knight. Dork Knight said he was saying he likes the show. I do like the. No, I know. I do like the. But again, I felt like this episode specifically was really, really working hard to try to emulate better TOS episodes. And it's funny that isn't the kind of thing that I've normally noticed a whole lot of in terms of the. Like I haven't picked that up in the past, but this season feels like they're really leaning into some of that stuff, mainly because I recognize the stuff.
Going to be why women aren't allowed to be captains in the near future.
Right on.
See, there you go.
Okay, I can totally see that. That's hilarious.
Aha!
Hey, he's up.
Except that's you. There's me.
There you go.
All right, let me.
Wow, we're really close up now, aren't we?
Sorry.
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. People can hear you. Who can't hear him? He's
People
here.
couldn't hear me?
Probably not, because I think until you're on the actual stage, they maybe can't. But I thought they possibly could, and I wasn't sure how that worked. So anyway, here you are now. But
right.
yeah, so repeat your thought. Repeat what you said.
Oh, well, it was tongue in cheek, of course. But the idea is that since you have all these women on the show, we know what the TOS era looks like. And so all these women just screw everything up so bad that that's why women are no longer allowed to command starships.
I agree with that, actually. I can see that. It's funny. Well, I know that's one of the reasons why later on, number one, because you don't see many female. You're right. You don't see many female first officers after a while.
No,
And
the
it's like,
only
okay.
the only female first officer. I'm trying to think. Has there ever been a female first officer in Trek other than number one, all the way up until Michael Burnham?
It's true. What's her face from Best of Both Worlds? She was temporarily first
Yeah, but
officer,
that was a temporary thing.
but she was first officer.
She was a guest star. Come on.
They were like, don't worry, she doesn't get to drive the ship. There's no chance she'll crash it.
Yeah.
Oh God, Dork says I got to get back into watching Battlestar, so I'll hit you up soon. Y'all have a great stream. See you, Dork. Love you, brother.
Take it easy, Danny.
No, by the way, I meant what I said. His wrestling videos were pretty amazing. And he made these predictions at the beginning, whether or not you like it or not. I'm just talking about him in general and kind of trying. Honestly,
Right.
I'm trying to just amplify his stream. I didn't know much about wrestling, again, because years ago I haven't been into it for years. So he makes these predictions, and I'm like, who are these people? As I'm watching over the weekend, the feeds, his predictions are coming true, and I was like, oh my God, the guy knows what he's talking about, because I had no clue.
Danny, look, when it comes to wrestling expertise, I don't know of anybody that knows more than Danny. Just like with comic books, I don't know anybody that knows more than Darren Wagner. I mean,
fair.
but Danny is so into wrestling. He tried to get me into wrestling over and over and over. Unfortunately, it never materialized. But one thing we were planning on doing is together we were going to do a review of a big WWE event.
Oh my God.
Except I was going to love it. I was going to be totally into it, and I was going to know all the details because obviously we're going to be having it pre-scripted, right?
Sure.
And we were going to release it on April 1st.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Would have made so much. By the way, the chat's been going nuts. So they're talking about Trek Reviewer mentioned it was Shelby. Thank you for the name.
Yeah. Dax was not the first officer of Deep Space Nine. Kira was.
Janeway is my pick for captain. She ain't perfect, but she's good enough for me and always will be. Bradley Biggs. So here's honestly, I liked Janeway half the time. And by that I mean half the time.
I mean when she wasn't a psycho.
She was as adventurous as every other captain. The other half of the time, when someone else wanted to be adventurous, she was the wet blanket that was like, but we can't do this. And I'm like, but didn't you just do it 2 episodes ago? What? And so it was a weird back and forth. And yeah,
Janeway's,
of course, Captain Garrett from the Enterprise C.
Right, but that was, but I'm okay, but you're talking about captains now, as opposed to first officers.
I think captain is a
right, but we know that women were allowed to become captains again by the movie era because you had the captain of the
Lost.
Saratoga.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think she was given a name.
I think she's got one that's not canon. I think I've heard, either from a book or something. I think I've seen that, but
right.
Or maybe even from that the novelization of that movie.
Right. But Geordi
LaForge's mom was the captain. I think that's who she's supposed to be. I think in this book I'm talking about, that's what they tried.
Like her
they
name
made
is LaForge.
Yeah, I think they made his mother that captain. I vaguely have a recollection of some weird.
You would have had to have Geordi really late in life.
Because the universe has to, or maybe it's his grandmother, but somehow I believe she was somehow related to him, and because that's how small the universes have to be. Characters can't just exist in a vacuum; they have to be connected to the characters we know and love.
Well, yeah.
And if I see. Okay, Stan's got a point. If she was a captain, she must have been a first officer once. Not necessarily, but I do see that math, and I'm with you in that math. Her name was Sarah Toga.
Yeah.
And she got married later. Her granddaughter, Sarah Toga LaForge. That's awesome.
No, it's
They'll make
Saratoga,
robots
Jack.
first officers before women. Damn, that's terrible. I feel like anybody who sees this show in a microcosm, just this clip, is gonna be like, "Oh, these are just the worst kind of men."
Well, we know women are just
True.
that.
Look, all I'm saying is more women have crashed starships than men.
Well, yeah.
At least on camera, at least on screen.
100% of the women who have piloted starships in Star Trek have crashed.
I'm sorry, Carol Freeman, forgetting her is heresy. You're right, sir. I'm sorry. How could we forget?
So, well, but again, that's later. There are plenty of women once you get past next gen,
Yeah.
But we're talking about the TOS era.
Right.
So before Geordie's grandma,
Right? As far as
Captain Meemaw.
Yes. Yes. That is now my new headcanon.
Yeah. So
One day I
before
will
Captain
show my
Meemaw.
One day I will show my grandchildren that movie and go, "That's Captain Nemo."
Now, I know that the generally accepted fan headcanon, which I tend to agree with, is that Kirk was just placating her in that episode because she believed that because she couldn't be a captain, they just wouldn't let women in, even though it was because she was nuts.
Right. Yes.
And so,
exactly what we're talking about. Right.
right. So,
And she was like, "See how good a captain I can be." But
Yeah.
by the way, Shatner doing his best.
Shatner was such a great woman in that
That was his best work.
It's too bad. If that would have been an earlier episode in the season, I think there would have been a fourth season.
Phoenix Gundam, I love you. Except for Ortegas, whose only trait is fly ship good.
No, that's not true. That is not true. Ortegas has crashed. She just hasn't destroyed the ship. Remember in that when they were going through the asteroid belt, she hit an asteroid and she was like, "What? You expect me to dodge all of them?" And so every single woman who has piloted the ship has crashed.
I need to bring up, there's some AI videos that someone did of black women getting into car accidents and driving, and I'm like, wow. It's like just because part of me is like, just make them women in general. We're done. We're all cooked. It's over. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, I think we can all agree that the world was a better place before women could vote.
Please send all hate mail to saltytrekker at nerdfights.org/UKcom, whatever.
I'm just saying,
Oh, that's true. He goes, "Oh, that's true." You know what? I don't know if it was to that or not, but I'm taking it for that. Sorry, bro. You're getting guilty of it. You're getting guilty for agreeing.
See? Everybody agrees with me on this one. Finally, I win a fight.
And like resoundingly, everybody just jumped in hardcore. They're all like, "Yes, absolutely." I feel like the men on this ship are like, "Yay."
So, which amendment is that? Is that the 13th Amendment? No.
That's right.
Is it really?
I think no. It's the 19th. No.
Let's see. It would make sense if it was the 13th. But
hold on. Stan coming out with Han Solo never hit one, did he? No, he just parks inside of the body of a giant space worm thing.
yeah, it's the 19th Amendment. So I think that we should start a movement right now to repeal the 19th Amendment.
There you go. I have always said, if there are women suffering, we need to end women's suffrage.
Yeah.
Women should not be suffering.
See, that's the
They're
thing.
suffering.
The whole feminist movement was based on the idea of making women suffer.
Make women great again. Put them back in the kitchen. So I joke so hard with my family. Look, constantly. When they're in the kitchen, I'll be like, "Oh, look at my daughter living up to her potential. Make me a sandwich."
I am all for women having equal rights.
Hey, what's up, Phil?
Hey, so I'm all for women having equal rights. They should be able to use their husband's credit card as long as he gives permission. They should be able to drive as long as he grants permission. So, and test driving new cars, I know your car is declared a lost car. Oh, yeah. I was trying to tell you, you should get an electric car, buddy. You would not regret it. Just don't get
I've always said, what's it worth getting out of? Why not a Tesla? What's wrong with the Tesla?
Okay, so I've driven a couple of Teslas. and they're fast and sexy and all that. But the thing about Teslas, they're cheaply built.
Okay, that
And-
I've heard that actually from several people who are like, "I love my Tesla. Don't let anybody hit you because
Yeah.
you're gonna fold in on yourself."
It's a tin-
Like,
yeah, it's a
hey,
tin-
Penny,
It's a
Penny,
tin
you
can
just
that
missed
goes
Danny.
really fast. You know.
Penny, you missed Danny. He was here. He checked in a little while ago. We actually hung
Yeah.
out with him for a few minutes at the beginning of the show.
But yeah, so they're a tin can. But I will tell you that cars like the Cadillac Lyric, oh man,
Yeah, I've heard the
Absolutely.
Volt is good. The Lyric, yeah, I've heard a bunch of
the Lyric is really good. The Mustang Mach E is really good, especially the later years, because the early years had a couple of problems. But unlike so many car companies, Ford has actually addressed the problems with it and has fixed them. And so
Nice.
the modern Mustang Mach E's are really good. But on the GM side, I would go if I was going to get a car, something for a daily drive ride, and I had money, I would get the Cadillac Lyric. If I didn't have money, I would either get the
Is
Equinox.
the Tesla the replacement for the Pinto? The truck reviewer asks.
I think that no, you know what? I think ultimately the Cybertruck is going to go down as the
Bro,
Edsel of our
I
century.
don't know, man. You say that, but I'm telling you, they have. I just saw one of those all black right off the, and it actually
I've
looks like a
seen them
tank.
around.
It looks like a tank, and in black. It looks kind of impressive. The silver one, it looks weirdly like a running dishwasher.
It's not.
I
the
swear,
design.
it looks like a dishwasher. It's terrible.
I actually
A hybrid
like.
is a hybrid's more reliable due to the simple fact you have the gas component for backup.
That
Who
is
was it I saw?
completely 100% untrue, Phoenix. I can tell you that from Okay, so here's the problem with a hybrid. A hybrid has all the problems of an electric vehicle and all the problems of a
Yeah.
gas vehicle.
I've actually heard
You know
that.
what? You know what? I've put 65,000 miles on an electric car. My maintenance cost to date is 0. Okay? Because there are no oil changes, there is no transmission, there's no radiator, there's no drivetrain at all. You have a battery and an electric motor, which, by the way, go back to your basic physics, electric motors are one of the most simple machines that there is. And so it's basically a coil and whatchamacallit, the thing.
Welcome to Car Talk, everybody, with Salty Trucker.
Yeah.
Telling you about your car.
People think that electric cars aren't reliable because they're thinking about like the first year of the Nissan Leaf
Yeah.
that had problems. But it's like, man,
Right.
you are way out of date if you think electric cars today are unreliable. They are way more reliable than their gas equivalents.
That's pretty true.
So if you don't have,
I don't have Cadillac money. I'm looking at Hyundai Kona, Chevy
Okay,
Trax,
so but
Trailblazer,
right
Blazer.
there, okay, you just said Chevy Trax, Trailblazer, Blazer. So let me tell you, Chevy
they have
has
electric versions of almost all those,
the
don't they?
Bolt, Equinox, and Trailblazer all as EVs, and they are solid. I drive a Chevy Bolt, and I absolutely I would prefer to have the Equinox or the Blazer because they're bigger, but I've been very, very happy.
Yep, it's going to be Cars and Women with Salty and Mr. Know-It-All. That's the new title of the show.
And you know why EVs are so great? Because they
He
were
just keeps
invented.
going too. He's like, whatever, man. We're talking
No.
about what we're talking about.
I'm addressing the topic. The reason the EVs are so great, they were invented by men.
He did, by the way. He absolutely did. It was brand new. He tested it first. He was very excited about it when he was a young man. Right?
Yeah,
you were in
I-
high school, weren't you?
I just wish they were available in colors other than black. That was my biggest gripe back then.
I hear you. No, I
If
understand.
you check out my
You
original
racist.
podcast, which was just me standing on a street corner with a megaphone.
Sure,
Yeah,
just shouting at everybody.
the kids are gonna love the Model T. Too bad it
That's
doesn't
right.
come in different colors. So grab a sarsaparilla and hop on in.
I'm telling you. All right, come on. Let's talk about the episode. What do you think?
Oh, so this
Let's start.
episode. So again, the technobabble pissed me off to a
Bro.
level that I mean, because
It was so evident that when it was happening, I was like, wait, what? Why are you what?
the
Why are
problem.
you, why are you
know what?
talking like this?
Here's the funny thing. So I don't like technobabble in the next gen era, as you know.
Yeah.
In fact, I find it
And
great.
that's the only thing I noticed they're pulling in. From,
Well, but
from
here's
that
the dumb
east.
thing. It's not just that they're pulling in more technobabble like next gen. What they're doing is they're listening to next gen buzzwords and then using them incorrectly. At least next gen tried to kind of sort of go along with what science was saying about this stuff. This is
Yes.
to say something like they're changing the quantum state at at the molecular level is absolutely the dumbest thing, and they said it multiple times in this episode. And the thing is that if you're changing, like, because remember they were looking at that creature that was in stasis, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Or
and
whatever it was supposed to be. Weird,
yeah,
like,
and she
thing that
was
had a
even
heartbeat.
saying, yeah, and she was even saying
All the quantum
the
stuff.
quantum state was changing at the molecular level. And it's like, if its quantum state is changing, the amazing thing is that the entire creature, not the molecules, the
Right.
entire creature's quantum state was changing.
Yeah.
And
No, I
so
get it.
that's not the molecular level. The molecular level would be like one molecule changing, but whatever.
So again, whenever TOS characters found something quantum based, they genuinely didn't know. Genuinely didn't know how it did and didn't exist. Which
Well, and that's
it
another
should have
thing.
been. That's how it should have been. It should have been very Schrodinger's cat.
Okay, so and that's another thing that Star Trek. This is not the first show to do this, but it's something that I find extraordinarily grating because one of the biggest myths out there is that quantum mechanics tells us that things both do and don't exist, and that's total BS. The
Yeah.
what it is. It's
Have you seen
something
the
that-
new? Have you seen the new quantum circuitry they're building? So I watched about 45 minutes of a video that before it got.
No, I
really,
don't
really,
believe it
really,
actually
really-
exists.
It got it got super dry because essentially the technology is that they have found a way to borrow energy from whatever other state, and I'm like, okay, and how are you doing this exactly? So let me get this right. You're powering the ship through energy from someplace else that doesn't exist.
The dark dimension.
I'm just like, I get it, but I don't. Like at some point, you got to realize you guys sound like you're science fiction. You were just talking about quantum last weekend. That's where they're putting Kang. Yeah, I'll go with that. 23rd century sensory systems could never read something made by energy beings, so they just didn't know. What do you think, Salt?
What, they couldn't read something made by energy beings? As far as the scanner, well, look, what they found, like I said, the concept of the building and the way
Yes,
that
Dan. By the way, yes, Dan.
the multidimensional stuff, clearly that's tech way beyond even Picard's era, and that's cool. I like that. I like them exploring that.
The difference is the TNG writers and producers gave a crap about their work and the work of the people that came before them, and these new people don't. I would argue that's actually false. Now hold on, because I think they do care, they just don't understand. And at some point, someone has told them in the writers' room, "Hey, do the best you can. However, don't let something established stop you from being creative. Go ye forth and make up things that makes you do your best." And I'm like, no, hold on, time out. You can respect the past and still be original and creative. And if you can't, then why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing the show? It makes no sense. So I'm with you in that. I think they do care, but I think they were told, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I feel like they care enough to drop and not like tidbits. Like I love they're seeding Corby's future relationship. They've not, although I do think they're kind of taking it to the extreme. They're like, that's where we saw him there. That must have been his whole life's work, and everything he had to do with, and everywhere he was going was somehow seeding that one day he would be this at this place. Maybe, but they're doing it real ham-fisted right now.
Right.
Because the only end result of this is Chapel goes with him and leaves eventually. Right. Whether it's this season, it would have to be this season.
It could be this season. It could be, well, not necessarily, because it could be that, he says, well, I'm going on this one mission, and when I get back, we're going to get married, and then he disappears, because that's what happened in TOS, was that he had disappeared.
Yeah, Indy's right. And that's what we're saying. There wasn't a lot of about technobabble in the original Trek. There really wasn't.
No, there was almost none, and that's what I think made the original.
They
subtle.
really, and it was more made advanced because they were you're the most advanced scientist in right now in the Federation, so to speak. But so when Spock was like, I don't know, it's confusing, or I don't know, or blah blah blah. It's fascinating. Like they use subtlety to make you go, ooh, this is
And it was
big.
also the other thing about it, and this is not to be. I'm not trying to sound condescending or insulting, but I think it's actually a compliment to it. It was simple, and when I say that, I mean that. For example, what kind of beam was it? Pure anti-proton, absolutely pure. And then Kirk's like, right? That's all we got out of that, right? Well, they didn't, if this were a TNG episode, he would have been pure anti-proton, and Kirk would have gone, wow. Pure anti-protons would have broken down.
That
whatever
must
they hit at
mean
the
X, Y, and Z.
subatomic
Blah,
level.
blah, blah. Yeah, totally.
And
And you're
so
like, why? Why?
yeah, we don't need all the blah 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 explanation of it. If you just throw in something, it's just like when Spock said in the same episode, the hull of the Doomsday machine is made of solid neutronium, which means we
Arabic
can't
calls
through
it the go-to technobabble word in TOS was ionic.
Oh, ionic was hilariously used in TOS. That was their quantum. That
That's
absolutely,
awesome.
yeah. It's because the funny thing is that they had ion power on the ship, but then in a later episode, they were all impressed because an alien civilization had harnessed ion power. And it's like, make up your mind. And even Star Trek 4. The probe has ionized our atmosphere. I mean, it was just that was the go-to. And by the way, the first time anyone from the original series ever used the word quantum? Generations.
Really?
Yep, they never used it in the original series or the first 6 films.
And that was because they made Scotty do technobabble at that moment.
Yes, because it was
You
written by
hate
Ronald D.
that.
Moore.
You hate that moment so much.
Yeah.
Especially because you notice the readouts were very leaning toward. It was very TNG leaning. The readout,
Oh yeah, because
everything was starting to
Scotty,
shift.
In I don't remember the exact line from Star Trek. But Scotty's like, "Oh yes, I have a theory. If we could just send out an inverse pulse from the deflector dish that could be an ionized, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh come on."
You're like, who are you?
Give
Give us Scotty back.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The energy barrier being described as deflectors say something there, sensors there say there isn't.
Well, no,
That's-
but they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
later. They did later define the barrier as being negative energy.
Yeah,
That they did use that term. And yet, Stan, to answer you, a tachyon is a genuine theoretical particle.
Yeah, we talked about a 2-truck reviewer. We talked about that last week as well. Scotty sure ages a lot in the few years between Strange New World. By the way, there is no few years. There's going to be year 1. And I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. I'm like, why y'all keep tiptoeing?
Well, is that
Just
a
move it.
thing, or is it that just because the article that you said sounded like that's just what they pitched, not necessarily
That is what they're pitching. No, it doesn't
Right.
say what they haven't done. That's what they're
right? But it
that's what
doesn't mean
they're-
it's a thing. I'm just saying it's.
You're right. It does not.
I would
especially
like
with
Star Trek
Skydance
Year 1 to be a
is-
thing, but we don't know yet.
and right now I'm hearing all kinds of crazy rumors that Skydance is potentially thinking of just rebooting hard everything, and I'm
Which
like,
I would
really?
not. Here's the thing. If I were president of Skydance, and I don't know what because obviously you and I don't get to see the actual numbers. So if Strange New Worlds, despite its goodness, if Strange New Worlds is not getting any kind of audience, then fine. I would say sure, reboot. And I mean, because obviously the nerds like us are watching it, but
Sure.
are the normies?
Yeah, we're in the
watching
bag for this stuff anyway.
Yeah. So if in fact the Strange New Worlds is not getting any kind of decent audience numbers, then I would say yes, do a hard reboot, but do it well. Right. So let's not.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm so invested now in this. I feel like I wouldn't even know it. You'd have to take a break. You'd have to take a break and have me not. I have to want Trek because I don't know because it's taken a long time for me to finally enjoy anything that was a prequel series, even whatever they want to call it.
Right.
I didn't dig Enterprise for that. That was one of the hardest things I had to get over about Enterprise.
Let me get to my counter.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If, however, Strange New Worlds has enough of an audience, the wife is obviously home. That's why the dogs are freaking out.
The alarm.
Yes. Hey! Person,
Okay.
person.
Yeah, so Strange New Worlds referencing too many TOS events, strange new lead-ins.
Yeah.
I've been saying the same thing. There's a difference between being where things came from, and being, oh, here, kid, like the Han Solo. This is how you got your gun. This is how you got your vest. This is
Right.
how you got your shit. And it's like, bro, can you just show me the events before their life got started? Why do we
Yeah,
have
I'm just
to?
waiting for Kirk to say, Pike, I really like that green wrap you have.
My wife brought me dinner, and I'm so happy.
No, so now you're going to eat on the stream
I am
again.
absolutely going to be on the stream. I'm so hungry. Oh my god, forget you people.
Is that pizza? Mm-hmm. And when you burn your face on it?
I love hot pizza.
All right, so anyway, so I can see Kirk walks in, and Pike's wearing that green wrap uniform, which I do love.
Yeah.
And Kirk would be like, "Man, that's a really snazzy uniform." He goes, "Yeah, you like it? Tell you what, I got an extra one. Why don't you take it?" And that's how Kirk got the green wrap uniform. No,
I believe they are trying to rewrite Ben Says. Could
well,
be.
I want so here's what I was getting to is I think that if Strange New Worlds has enough of a core audience, then I would, as Skydance, I would say, okay, we are rebooting Star Trek, and it starts with Strange New Worlds.
Well, did you hear about the announcement that was made in Las Vegas this weekend?
No, what's that?
Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg came out as saying that Skydance, one of the things they're interested in doing is giving the Kelvin verse one last movie.
I don't care.
I know you don't, but I'm saying like that. The fact is that that's where their head's at.
Here's
in
my
terms of
biggest
movie.
problem with it. I'll bet you anything. And especially since Simon Pegg is talking about it, they're going to let him write, produce, and maybe even direct it.
He didn't
And-
do a bad. I liked the last one. I thought the last
Oh,
one.
I thought he was
did a
horrible.
Really, I liked it.
Oh, I thought. See, that's the Star Trek Beyond was. It was the Andor of Star Trek, in that I think that it craps all over the lore while you think it doesn't.
Oh, whatever. I don't agree with you there as well. That's fine. I get it.
Yeah, but it does cement the idea that Scotty is the ultimate badass, of course. Which we did see that in the original series. To be fair,
Yeah.
there is no badass greater than Scotty. But yeah, I would, honestly, and the thing is, one last movie in their timeline, why bother if it's going to be the last one? Especially since the last one was a bona fide flop. I don't think there's a lot of interest.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. You're right.
Huh?
I mean, I like the story behind it. Like, it felt the most Star Trek of those movies, but
Well, sure, if you think the most Star Trek means anti-military.
no. I mean, it actually felt like a crew having to figure out stages of a problem. Like it wasn't straight up. Here's a bad guy coming at you, shooting a thing. Blah blah blah.
No.
It was actually like they had to follow the
Yeah,
pieces
and
of a
they-
thing.
And
It
they
was
killed them with
in
the
that
power of rock and roll, yeah.
because they explained that. Don't act like that because if anybody else does, they explained it very well. It was all sound resonance, and that made sense. How else do you stop those kind of things? Come on now.
In
Here's
space?
the thing. I get the story overall. I get it. No, the vibrations move through space also. Vibrations, how do you think communication happens in space? Just because laser, we point everything at each other and shoot
No,
it at you?
it's called electromagnetic waves being sent out.
Sorry, I technobabble. Can we stop? I don't understand. You're just wrong.
Oh, I'm
Star
sorry.
Trek.
Quantum.
Technobabble in Star Trek.
Quantum.
There you go.
It's all quantum.
It was good until the space motorcycle came out, Stan said.
The space motorcycle was not cool. No, I actually, and the thing is, okay, I will agree that Star Trek Beyond had some very good moments in it, particularly between McCoy and Spock. I really liked every time McCoy and Spock were on screen, it was absolute gold. Every time Scotty was on screen, I just wanted to cringe because it's obvious that Simon Pegg co-wrote, produced, and was good friends with the director because they tried to make Simon Pegg the ultimate hero, and that's why he was the one that jumped from the pod to the cliff to and yeah, whatever. But the whole anti-war theme of not just that movie, but the movie before it, anti-military. I mean, I'm not. I'm not against being anti-war, but I am against being.
They were, but they were anti-military.
Who?
Early Starfleet wasn't. They were supposed to be very explorer-centric.
Now,
The military aspect happens just because
you
they
need to
they
rewatch
encountered
the
some bad
original.
guys.
You need to rewatch the original series, my friend. But for example,
That's hard.
go to the Errand of Mercy, the very first appearance of the
Yeah.
Klingons, and when Kirk is talking to the Organian Council, and he's like, "Forgive me, I'm a soldier, not a diplomat." It's and over and over. In fact, Trelane talks about how they're military men, even when they're scientists, because they're all part of Starfleet. There's over and over. There's references to the fact that Starfleet is the military in TOS. That goes away in TNG, and there is a
Well,
lot.
that went away because and they give you the Star Trek 6 of it all, which
Right.
explains
Star Trek 6 is a logical explanation for that transition. I'm not saying that
Right,
there's not an
right.
in-universe explanation for it.
Yeah.
But in the Kelvin timeline, all of a sudden Scotty is like, how can we take these torpedoes? That makes it like this is a military mission. We can't do that. I quit.
No, that's not at all. And that's what you got from it. Then you clearly didn't watch the movie.
That was in Star Trek.
No, he
Star
mentions
Trek-
very clearly Into Darkness. He mentions very clearly, unless I know what's in these torpedoes. It's not about. It's like all of these things,
Right.
clandestine stuff, a cargo bay full of weapons that I don't understand and can't account for in the warp, whatever the hell. He's like, that's dangerous. That because we're doing these things. What we don't tell us because we're doing military.
But you know
secrets.
what? Starfleet does have classified information.
They do, but they're not. They're also doing things that are unsafe.
Well, the torpedoes are obviously safe.
Not without telling the actual guy who's in charge of keeping everything in balance
Because
what's
if
going
he's
on.
not, because if they're, obviously they were just trying to keep a secret the fact that they had people in there. But the point of that scene, remember, at the crux of that scene was that when Kirk said something to counter the whole he doesn't know what's in the torpedoes, and then Scotty said, yeah, and that's the whole problem with it. It feels like this is a military mission. And he goes, I thought we were just explorers. And it's like, if you're just explorers, you wouldn't have phasers and torpedoes.
No, that's because you're not stupid and you've been around the block and met very dangerous aliens.
So Jacques Cousteau had phasers and torpedoes on his ship when he was going around.
If you're actually going to have the nerve to compare underwater creatures to active aliens that are shooting at us, I'm sorry, that's not an argument.
Hey, have you ever heard of
You
mermen?
just lost on the merit.
Have you
having no
ever heard
argument.
of mermen?
Not in real life. I've heard of
Do you know-
manatees. I'm
do
from
you
Florida.
know there's-
I know all
do-
about manatees.
Do you know there's not some incredibly dangerous creature at the bottom of the ocean?
Really.
I'm just saying.
You're going to be as
but,
asinine
okay,
as you can be.
But the thing is, it's one thing if, like, for example, people that went out to the Wild Wild West, right? Yeah, they would carry 6-shooters and rifles and stuff, but they didn't bring the army, right? Even, not until there was a war.
Really?
Yes.
I'm
when this-
sorry. Look, I'm not even an apologist for history the way other people are in this life, especially you being the closet liberal that you are. But at
Yes.
the same time, it's like, bro, there were an awful lot of guys in blue coats running around killing in some engines back in the day.
Most of them,
Policing the Wild West. So I don't know what we're talking about.
I'm talking about that was when there were various wars that took place during that era, but I'm talking about when the original settlers were going out there. They didn't just march out there with a military force, right? They just went out there, mom, pa, like Little House on the Prairie. They were just on their covered wagon, hoping for the best.
That's right. That's right.
And then when
Just like
bad
we-
things happen,
just
then
like
you send.
we- That's right. Welcome
Right.
to Star Trek. You just explained the formation of the Federation.
Well,
and
no, but you see,
how it works.
a Constitution class starship is the biggest, baddest ship in the universe as far as the
You
Federation.
just explained why. Because when we first went out,
No, because
people
they're
tried
the
to
ones-
kick our ass.
But they're the ones you send when there's trouble. In fact, okay, go back. You go to Arena Classic episode, right? They show up, Cestus 3 has been destroyed. What do? They go after the Gorn. And when they're going after the Gorn, Spock's objecting, and he's like, look, it's a matter of policy. We are the only enforcement in this area. We need to make sure that so it's not just a matter of, oh, we're just explorers. They are also the security force for the Federation. That's what Starfleet is.
That's one of its major mandates, yes, but that's
Right.
not how it
Which
started.
was dismantled in Star Trek 6.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
And in fact,
it was just to a point, yeah. Because they had built a whole lot around their opposition with the Klingons. Now that was because there were still clearly other places to be worried about and concerned about, but it wasn't all that. So all these grasp of Trek leaves much to be desired, but we all knew that. Hi, Darren.
Darren, you know what? Why don't you go back and just watch the first 10 minutes of the show, because you would really enjoy it.
It's true, because it was just me by myself. So he was having technical difficulties, and I'm just running the show as best I could, talking to everybody in the chat. But no, my whole thing is that it's like, I get, for you to sit here and say it's an anti-military storyline. No, I think that what they were showing us in their own limited way, because remember, this is a universe that was irrevocably changed by the interference of future stuff.
Right.
After the destruction of the Kelvin, Starfleet went on a straight up firefight binge. They're like, oh crap, we have to defend ourselves from stuff that in the normal timeline was not a consideration or a thing. So suddenly they were like, arm up, and boom, that's what develops this whole thing. Thus, people who were predominantly explorers, even if they were policing stuff, I'm sorry, you don't call police having an entire science wing of their ship, that's dedicated to study and all this other stuff that they've got. The deflector does more than just kick stuff out of the way. It's also for deep scanning and all kinds of other uses as well. And they were suddenly, so now you have in the Kelvinverse anyway, this huge push that everybody is suddenly a little jarred by. And I think if anything, it's more strange that he was more like, well, what, like, bro, where you been? Yes, we have. Did you not?
But you're making my point for me. So there's no reason that Scotty should be anti-military, but he was. And by the way, Star Trek of the Kelvin timeline films, Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond both had the military as the primary bad guy. Because Section 31 in the Kelvin timeline is just trying to make more militaristic starships, right? Because the whole point of the Dreadnought class was that it didn't have the science labs and stuff. It was just a flying weapons platform, right? And then in Star Trek Beyond, the whole thing with Balthazar was that he was pissed off because the Makos were disbanded.
Right.
And so the whole theme of those last two movies is military bad, explorers good. The thing is that if you want to make Star Trek The Next Generation, then don't use Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock.
Okay, I think that's a fair.
I'm
what you just said is a fair argument. I'm willing to go with you there.
And so I don't think that they're necessary. Like I enjoyed Into Darkness more than Beyond, but mainly because I did not like the. I mean, look, I get that it was fun and cool to play Beastie Boys.
Real quick. Well, hold on. I think Darren. I want to real quick address this. Okay, Darren says JJ Secret Hideouts doesn't get this era of Star Trek at all. Hang on. That's incorrect patently.
That is.
Not because they don't get what you like, does not mean they don't get it. They are given a mandate. Take Star Trek, this dated property. I'm not, by the way, I'm not necessarily saying I agree with this mentality. I'm just stating what the mentality was. This dated property with an aging out audience and make it something that a general audience who's maybe never heard of Star Trek might be interested in seeing, that also may potentially bring in newer, younger fans to try to reinvigorate the franchise. And by the way, I think the first movie did kind of do that, good or bad, whatever. At the end of the day, more people, it built a resurgence of
Star
people
Trek
going,
2009 was the biggest success that Star Trek ever saw in the box office.
Yeah, and I thought it was good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Frank was good. But so I don't think they don't understand the era. I think they were given a very specific ending. Not to mention, don't forget, and I do believe this totally. AJ, this was his audition for Star Wars. He was doing this because he didn't have he couldn't get Star Wars. And on the back of this and the success of the 2009, he was able to book Star Wars.
You're going underwater again for some reason.
Oh no, that's weird.
Did you do something?
No,
But
you did something. Shut up.
yeah. But the thing is about as far as and I get that people want to hate on J.J. Abrams and Alex Kurtzman.
That's all. Again, they haven't mischaracterized the era. They were told specifically to jazz it up. They were not told do a faithful adaptation that makes everyone from the classic who'd enjoyed it all before. They said redefine it. They said give us the new version of Star Trek for a new audience that maybe some of the old folks will jump in on, but guess what? They're dying out anyway. Let's see something new and propel forward. Now, mind you, that was also because of the contractual nonsense that was going on at the time. And we all know that. I'm not gonna, but I'm not one of those people who sits here and says, well, that's because that means it's different and blah, blah, blah. It is what it is, man. Okay. It's the thing we got in the movies. That's what we got. So what are you going to do?
The funny thing is that, and I'm not saying Darren's saying this, but a lot of people that are complaining that the new Trek doesn't look like the old Trek, I don't hear them bitching about how Star Trek, Star Trek the motion picture through Star Trek 6 don't look like the original series. Or the fact that TNG looks nothing like.
Okay, but to be fair, it did. Well, to be fair, notoriously, Gene Roddenberry hated a lot of the decisions that were made in the movies.
Well, I know
he was because
he hates good. He hates good.
He didn't want the militarization of the uniforms. He didn't want it to feel like an actual. He didn't want it to feel like an actual service.
Well, that's why he didn't get along with Harv Bennett and Nicholas Meyer. Right. Because they particularly, because, and this is the funny thing, kind of going back to kind of what we were talking about the military and all that, is they watched the original series and they're like, oh, they're the Space Navy. And so they just went all in with it. And so that's the feeling they got from it. And I think if you go back and you rewatch the original series, yes, they're the Space Navy. And
agreed.
And so, yes, they have science labs, but you know what? The Navy actually does do some research and stuff like that. But granted, the biggest, baddest battleships don't have science labs on them. But that's kind of
to be fair, Phoenix, I did too. To be honest, that's one of the things I actually have missed. I feel like if our science fiction could embrace the absurdity of science fiction, because remember, that's the fiction part. They thought they were doing the science part as good as they were willing to go in terms of a ship, how it works, matter energy transfer, all this stuff. Like their version of technology they set up, they tried to make it very grounded in what was potentially one day going to be possible. Then they were like, and now the fiction part comes in. God beings that are aliens from an advanced whatever and this other stuff and things you can't explain because there are strange things out there. And I got that. I got it.
Yeah.
I thought that was,
and the thing I think that they did better in TOS than any other show is they admitted that there were things they couldn't explain. Right?
Tristan says exploration versus military and Starfleet would make a great basis for a new Star Trek show. I think they kind of tried a little bit with the latter part of Enterprise, from what I can see, because as Enterprise was beginning to become more
when they brought the
exploratory,
Makos on and stuff,
right? There was this whole like, what should we be, and then eventually the Makos become security,
right?
And it's this whole like you start to see. I get it. I just thought it was very ham-fisted the way they did it back in the day. I would have preferred to have seen a little smoother transition to that, but yeah, I get you, bro. I'm with you.
I think that they should go further. Oh man, sorry, hate that. I think they should go further back. Honestly, I would do something called like the birth of the Federation, where you have space.
You have a real good idea for this too.
You have Space Force evolve into the United Earth Defense Force.
Can you imagine?
And then so you work your way through all of the history. But yeah, well, my big triple timeline idea would be to do a sequel to Enterprise.
There it is.
Yeah,
ding, 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 ding.
Multiple timelines. Oh, come on, that was a brilliant idea.
Are we boring you, Salty?
No.
Phoenix Gun, because you were yawning. Phoenix Gun was like, are we
Oh,
boring
yeah.
you?
No, I'm just tired. It's been a long day. And Darren's got a wall of text there. I can't quite read it.
Hold on. Okay, look, I know. Look, I'm going to read it. I know it's supposed to be too long, didn't read, but I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
We would expect the uniform technology from the motion picture era to be different from the TOS era, but when you're doing a prequel, you have to maintain fidelity. Otherwise, it's not a prequel at all. I think that's an asinine way to look at it. I'm sorry, because you arbitrarily just define. And I'm sorry, I disagree. Prequel means the thing that came first.
You know,
and the thing
Darren,
that
that'd
came
be
first.
like saying that you're pissed off that somebody made a movie about the Navy in 1892 and they weren't wearing modern uniforms. That looked like the uniforms that the Navy wore in 1982.
Right.
So no, the uniforms change over time. I'm fine with that. My big problem,
Especially in Star Trek, apparently the uniform department
well, the funny thing
works
is,
overtime.
well, okay. So you have the original series uniforms. Okay, well, you had the Discovery era uniforms now, which basically did look like an update of the Enterprise era uniforms. If you look at the Discovery uniforms, they look like a natural evolution.
And then there's
from
that brief stint where they showed Pike in the colors, and I actually thought those were in. I was like, okay, this is how we're going to reimagine. Fine. And then Strange New Worlds goes full blown TOS re-emulate.
Right. Except, well, they do change some things, but they don't change it a lot.
Okay, just because you want to redefine the meaning of words, which is something that I understand you do very well, and not because I have actually seen the past stuff. Trust me, that doesn't mean that we don't get it. That means you aren't convincing us of the word you want to use. So we're going by the actual usage of these words.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I love you, by the way, Darren. You know I love you.
Yeah. So I think that if you pretend that Star Trek the Motion Picture didn't happen, the uniforms from Enterprise through the movies makes perfect sense.
This would have been awesome if it wasn't for the fact that everybody in TNG wanted to do, like, let's show that our characters in our modern era in the 90s, they're stupid. Deep Space Nine did it right, showing the riot at the riots. They went to the past of the past. Yeah. I agree with Phoenix 100%. They should have gone to alternate timelines. Right. Okay, and I think that's great. I think that would have been the best potential option. And I feel like we all could have gotten on board there, but they kept wanting to make Star Trek our future. But you can't do that because of how far back it was created, and the 90s were so far in their future that it was like 1937 when World War III happens, and that's when the eugenics wars and blah blah blah. And it's like.
And by the way, I got to agree with Trek Reviewer here. There's been a lot of speculation on the internet as far as what the mandate for JJ's Secret Hideout exactly was. What all the
it's true.
We don't know. Anybody who says they know is lying. I'm looking at you, Midnight's Edge. Anybody who sits there and says they know all the details.
How about Doomcock, who knows everything and everybody? Yeah, that's awesome. Darren, look, Darren, I want you to know something. It's not that I'm unconvinced. I understand 100% where you're coming from. And by the way, I do respect where your viewpoint is. My problem is I try to look at these things through the lens of not being biased by it. Even Salty's biased about a lot of things, and I'm okay with. I get it. And I know you like the jokes. Oh, they're not
I'm
Star Trek.
only
He's
biased.
the guy who knows. Honestly, he knows the most since a friend of mine who passed years ago. He's the guy who knows the most about Star Trek that I've met.
And just to be clear, my only bias is against women.
Let's be this. Let's all be straight about this.
Yes.
But no, my thing is that's like people who sit here and go, well, this is not like Star Wars is not canon. Look, I'm sorry, Acolyte's canon. Why? Because Disney owns it and Disney said so. I hate the Acolyte. I keep going to that example because it's the worst example of a thing I can come up with now. Nothing has replaced it yet as being the worst thing. Ironheart came close. But so for me, it's like, yeah, dude, it is what it is. I don't know. I take these things at face value, or you risk joining the fandom menace and being a hater. I hate everything. And things I dislike. Last week's episode, I was not a fan of. I thought there was a lot of things that technologically wise I had an issue with. But at the same time, I was able to enjoy the show still.
Yeah, this episode was definitely better than last week, but it wasn't a great episode. I'll put it that way. By the way, and so Ben wanted to clarify, yes, the uniforms in the cage and in the episode where no man has gone before, because they recycled the same uniforms.
It's true.
Which you could see that they obviously don't fit, especially on William Shatner. If you look carefully, you can see like the collars are all jacked up.
Yeah.
that is a different uniform. And the reason that we have kind of odd looking uniforms on Strange New Worlds is they're based loosely on those uniforms.
I know, by the way, I was gonna bring this up. There's like this exchange happening between Terry Metalis and I'm like, bro, why are you giving this man more credibility than he deserves? Stop it. You gotta look it up. You gotta look it up online. Yeah, Terry Metalis and him had a whole thing online.
Well, that's okay. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, put the two of them in a cage. If nobody gets out, that's fine.
I do agree with this, Phoenix. I think Acolyte had a lot of really good ideas. And actually, Salty and I have an episode where we talked all about that. But you're right. At the end of the day, it was not well put together. And again, I don't even get to lesbian space witches because there's so many storytelling and structural issues with the series.
You know, aside from my raw, unadulterated hatred of women, I'm just never gonna let that go.
At some point, we need to get your wife to just do a video that you can really quickly put up that says, "I am his wife. He's not actually hate women."
You know, well,
with you in the background going, "Yeah, I do, woman. Make me a sandwich," or something stupid like that.
The funny thing is
someone's getting cold supper tonight.
It makes me think of Wolf in the Fold, which is
dude,
classic episode of the original series, where Scotty has an accident off screen before the episode that was caused by a female, person under him, and all of a sudden he has a psychotic hatred of women. So they take him to the hooker planet to try to cure him of his hatred of women. I
don't see a problem.
Yeah. Oh, me
I think if I had
more hooker planets.
That's where we should all be going to fix our hatred of women.
Yeah. Having a problem with women, my therapy, hookers. You know, that's sounds reasonable to me.
It sounds reasonable to me. Right on, man. No, it's real.
So, but no,
So we're going to actually talk about the episode itself, because here's the thing. I do want to talk about the fact that I love the fact that this ancient species was so advanced, because I feel like this is the kind of thing, especially because this is not a species that evolved into godhood. This is a species that was trying to do something unique and clearly did something, this is almost like the Event Horizon type species. They opened up a portal to some
the
kind
guy's
of
eyes got burnt out. My wife was like, "Oh, that's straight up Event Horizon."
Right? Oh my god, that's immediately where I went to. I was like, "Wow!" And I was before that you got on during the 10-minute window. The effect is such a pedestrian effect that I've watched that episode of Film Riot, how to do weird eye things like that, and I'm just like, really? All the money you guys got, and we're going with this? Okay, all right, it's a choice, whatever. And then poor Gamble, the minute the episode opens with Gamble doing the thing, I'm like, oh god, he's gone.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
He's done. That's why I put in the thumbnail the new kind of red shirt.
Yeah,
because it's like he just walked in. I'm like, that's it. It's over. You may as well just put a red shirt on, bro. You're done.
We just might as well start axing off all the characters we know don't make it to the original series.
For real. It's like either y'all are gone, I'm telling you, where was Ortegas? We got her brother, but we didn't get her.
No, she was in it briefly.
For like a hot second.
Yeah. Just so that she could get her contractual money for the episode.
Okay, I have no interest in Tristan says I have no interest in a total reboot of Star Trek. I'm past the point of getting mad at bad Trek. I just won't watch. That's what you guys are that's what you guys are for. Fair. That's fair. Well, I'm happy to be here for you as your surrogate for watching the show for you.
My thing, though, is that I like the idea of just doing a soft reboot. And when I say that, that's why I say Strange New Worlds, we've kind of, when you look at the episode from last season, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which I think was a great episode.
Same.
And we clearly show that the Romulans have, in fact, changed history to some extent, since Khan did not launch in 1996.
No, right.
Yeah, and that's true. That we Sulu's coming and Ortegas is on the way out.
I have to.
Yeah,
because they've set up Ortegas too much as getting and almost given Ortegas a recurring schedule, not a regular schedule.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, something's going on here. They're ready to.
Yeah.
I just want to hear the casting.
I like Ortegas, but yeah, we do need to get some.
I just want to see the casting. Who have they cast as that person? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, it's like they bring in 8,000 Asian actors and just say, okay, say, oh my. And then
awesome. Let me ask you a question. I need to know real. What do you think of this? Why don't they, especially when you can, with all the technology that exists today, dude, clone your voice because you can easily clone younger voices. Get the actors to do the body performance. Deep fake them young, and just do it. If you guys want to do stuff, do it. Like seriously, at this stage, especially because if you look at Harrison Ford in the last Indiana Jones, regardless of what you think of that movie itself, the de aging was actually really good. The only bad part was he still sounded like gruff old man Harrison Ford.
Right. You see young.
I'm like, clone the young voice, put it over his, so it's still him doing the performance.
Well, you see, you have to understand. I know that you worship our AI overlords.
I do. I have to make sure that when they take over, they know I was one of the ones who was looking out for them.
But many people still don't like it, aren't comfortable with it.
Oh, God, Phoenix, why do I think you're so right? Ortegas will end up being gutted by Tuvix Batal while flying ship good at the same time. I do believe on some level you are correct, by the way.
No. I think you're all wrong, Phoenix. Here's what's going to happen. Do you remember so in season 1 we had Asian Kyle.
Right?
And he disappeared, right?
Little Twinkie Kyle.
Then he was replaced in season 2 by transgender Kyle.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what they do. There's a transporter accident where Asian Kyle and transgender Kyle and Ortegas get merged into Sulu.
Oh. 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 Oh my God, I love that so much. When is Bones coming in? So if the rumors are true, let's pretend, shall we? Let's pretend that the discussion that's happening that says that we will get Star Trek Year 1, which is literally supposed to be at the. So my understanding is at the very end of this, Kirk will sit in the seat as captain, even if it's the final episode, whatever, or maybe he stands there and lets Pike take it out for one last ride, whatever, before Pike's gone. They're talking about potentially giving us Year 1. Year 1 could be the year where we get. Maybe not everyone, but maybe that's the year where we gain the rest of all the people as new folks. You know what I mean? I could see them doing that.
In Year 1, if they do a Year 1 series, if they're being serious about it, and hopefully, they don't let politics get in the way of things.
Right.
Then, Mitchell needs to be replaced by her brother Gary. Okay. It's got to happen because Gary Mitchell was established to have been serving with Kirk all along. And so while we haven't met Gary Mitchell yet, he could be on the Farragut right now for all we know. But as far as we need to bring in Gary Mitchell, huh?
How long after Pike leaves Enterprise is the accident supposed to happen? Do you know that answer? Because you know a lot of weird, obscure stuff like that.
It's a first season episode, The Menagerie, and so depending on how you look at the star dates, it's a year or 2 into the mission.
But now have they? And I was confused about this. Did they, because of how they introduced Pike, did they confuse the time in that event? Or was that how that's? Because remember when they introduced Pike, he is recovering from that, and we got to see that back and forth a little bit in Discovery.
In the original series, Kirk didn't know about the accident, but he did know Pike. He just wasn't like, and when Commodore Mendez, I think it was. I get some of these Commodores mixed up, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But when the Commodore told him about it. He says,
real quick, you're not going to get Xenomorph Gorn, just so you're aware. Haven't you seen? There's a couple of videos online where they show Batali in the Gorn outfit,
yes,
dress.
I've seen,
and they're like, "This is this," and I'm like, "Shut up! That's so stupid." It's not at all. I think she's going to go off and be the queen.
No. We said it a couple of weeks ago that she was I said that she was the Gorn from Cestus 3.
You did?
Yes.
Oh,
and so somebody copied my idea. So but
oh my God! I didn't realize that you had said that. Like it's a dress. Like
I said that. I said she was wearing a Fred Flintstone. Yeah, I said she was wearing a Fred Flintstone dress the last time we see her.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? I have my theory is she's going to leave and become the queen. It's just going to be inferred that she's going to go off and start then give either she's going to start to change, maybe her eyes will become prismatic, and they're going to be like, oh no, and then she's going to leave. or something, and that's I believe how that's gonna end. That's what I think. Jim Carrey Kirk. Jim Carrey Kirk. That's terrible.
Paul Wesley is
Did you see? Somebody showed Shatner the scenes and got a reaction.
No, that's fake.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Because that is footage of an old.
Oh, is it him?
Video. That's footage of him from an old video where he was reacting.
That.
He was reacting to like comedians and stuff that were doing Shatner impersonations.
But you got to admit, it's pretty hardcore the way it's doing it. It's like, especially they showed one scene. He's like, why is he talking like that?
At first I thought it was a real video, and then I heard him say one thing in particular, like, "Oh, I don't talk like that. I don't pause like that." And I was like, "Okay, you know what? That is absolutely."
What if season 5, the final 6 episodes, they used the set like Ticonderoga, New York? Oh my god, that's awesome. Yeah, Stan said the same thing. That was a reaction from an earlier interview. I know. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I believe oh gosh, I'm trying to remember.
Phoenix Goodham says, in fairness, only a few Trek novels say Kirk had a long friendship with Pike since he was a teen. None of the shows say Kirk always knew Pike.
No. Kirk said in if you look at the Menagerie, Kirk specifically states, and that's what canon is what we see on screen, and not what's in a novel. And on screen, Kirk said he met Pike for the first time when he made Fleet Captain, which we did see last season, right? Because Pike was given temporary command of multiple ships, and he was promoted to Fleet Captain, and that's when their first official meeting was. So that way, they're all good there. Yeah, it was Kevin Pollak. Thank you. I was trying to remember the comedian he was reacting to.
Kevin Pollak, I love Kevin Pollak.
Yeah, but Kevin Pollak was famous for his Shatner imitation.
Yeah, and later,
and so Shatner was saying, "What are you talking about? I don't pause like that," and so they just use that reaction to.
But it looks so good.
It does look good. It does look good, but yeah, it's fake. Awesome. But no, I forgot what I was saying because you distracted me with
the last 6 episodes. Enterprise could look like the TOS Enterprise.
I don't want to do that. I want to see
someone. I want to see someone, anyone do. I want to see someone do on screen what you have said and what we talk about. Show that there are 2 universes. Even if you got to deep fake everybody from the original show and have them facing the new version, be like, what happened? Something happened in the past that changed. We were supposed to be that. And now we're this. Like, give me that just somewhere, and I feel like that would heal all the universe of Trek fandom together. Would go and be done.
No, I would be fine with that if now. First of all, you'd have to get the estates of some of the actors to sign off on this.
Well, again, but for what it is, that'd be a special situation.
Like, look, but you still have to get them to sign off on it. You don't want to. You don't want to use their images without permission. Now, I mean, I'm sure Shatner would be down because he's already done that one thing. Yeah. I'm sure you could get most of the living ones to go along with it, but there aren't that many living ones anymore, unfortunately. So,
But I tell you what, Leonard Nimoy's kid could stand in easy because he looks a lot like him, man.
But like you said, with good deepfake, all you need is a person with a comparable body.
Yeah, structurally, that's got a similar look,
and so that would be fine. And that's
it looks like the TOS Enterprise, and someone makes the joke, "Why does it look so old?" Totally. Oh my god.
But no, I would be fine with that, like some kind of riff.
No, he said they can't. He doesn't think they can just flagrantly use the images of the characters. I think using them on a pad that shows a character's history thing is different.
You can use an actual existing image that was used in a prior episode.
Right.
Similar to like how they used the cast photo from Star Trek V in Star Trek Beyond to show that Ambassador Spock had died. And he had that picture of him in his personal effects. He had a picture of him and the crew.
I absolutely would love that, by the way. I believe the final episode will lead into the first episode of TOS, no deepfakes. I don't know if it's going to be that legit. I think it's more, especially if they're trying to force the hand of studio or whatever. I believe it would be this first this new for year 1 thing they're talking about potentially doing, if they were going to do it. Because even the show itself didn't start out with like, I'm the new captain. It started out as if Kirk had been there for a hot minute.
But here's like if you want to have some fun with it, you play around because we look at stuff that's already happened in canon.
Oh yeah, he's AI all day. He's fake. Look at that hair. That's not real.
Yeah, I'm totally DJ.
Have you seen Salty Plus? Okay, he's fake. Look at him.
Yeah. It's I am the one person that Anson Mount said had better hair than him. So
there it is. We
I have to get it in once an
now
episode.
these days. That's it. I'm telling you.
But
That's
no,
awesome.
if you look at
Trek Reviewer have Chris Doohan step in. Yeah, totally. You could, dude, him get Nimoy's son, all those people. You could totally do.
So what if you had an episode where you had a situation similar to the beginning of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, all right? Yeah. Except that we have Paul Wesley has an encounter with some time cop alien or whatever, and then he's on the turbo lift, right, when it happens. And then when the doors open, he steps out, and in the captain's chair, it's William Shatner looking back at him saying, "What are you doing on my bridge?"
Oh, he's so dope.
And so then you can have
then you're into some multiverse type stuff like with Spider-Man and whatnot, which I'm like, hey, whatever. Yeah,
right,
because
I'm
sorry, we've already shown in TNG and other places the multiverse exists, so that's a thing.
And it could be in the middle of an actual TOS known adventure,
Phoenix's compliment, that luscious silver hair can't possibly be real.
It is real.
That's right. See, I'm even trying to grow my own beard. I'm going to see if I can get the salty beard going.
Yeah, it'll never happen.
It won't. How does Robert April turn white?
Alternate timeline.
I'm telling you, it's amazing what happens.
See,
because apparently the lady who became Mrs. April she got with a different Mr. April.
I would actually have no problem with Chris Pine, William Shatner, and Paul Wesley all meeting each other in an episode, and them looking. Wait, you're not me. You don't look anything like me, right? But the thing is that we know even this. We talk about butterflies.
It does. Aravic says it looks like Klingon hair. It does look like Klingon hair, down to the wave ringlets and everything, bro. It looks like Klingon hair.
Well, the funny thing is the reason have you noticed the curls are much better now?
Yeah.
It is. I've been using black hair products.
That's what I'm talking about. My kid's got the curling activated.
I had an Uber ride with a black hairdresser, and she took one look at my hair and she's like, "Oh, you need to use this and this and this." I said, "Hold on, let me take notes." And so
a time traveler saw Salty's. Bradley says a time traveler saw Salty's hair and was like, "That's what the Klingon hair is supposed to look like."
That's exactly right.
See, we're all behind your hair, sir. We're good. Done. Love it. Let's go. All right, can we ever get back to the episode? Because I do want to talk about some of the stuff in the episode.
So overall, I like the episode. I like the Corby development so far.
Do you really?
I do. I don't like the only thing I don't like about this Corby is that why does he have an English accent?
I thought it was a Scottish accent.
Or what? I don't know. Whatever it is, it's an accent. Corby clearly did not have an accent.
Okay, I'm with you.
And as far as Corby, I do think it's a little on the nose for him to specifically be looking for ways to beat death, because that was,
That's why I said. That's why I felt like the universe is real small, based on this one thing about him in the feud that we know, and his whole life's work was this, and I was like,
here's an even better idea. You have Paul Wesley gets in the transporter, right? Something weird happens, and when he materializes, he sees William Shatner there at the controls of the transporter, right? And he's like, "Wait a minute, who are you?" Well,
hold on.
Wait. And then
go ahead.
Spock comes in, and he's got a beard.
So I love that, by the way. What if? See, we keep looking at it like narcissists, from our perspective. Mm-hmm. Flip it. What if that universe is having it's falling apart? There's things happening because of what's happened. Very similar to kind of Marvel's idea of incursion type stuff. Something is unraveling because of all this stuff that's happened. And this could actually lead you into the Time War beginning meeting, like a Ouroboros, like at the beginning is actually the end kind of thing.
Right.
And where you simply say, because of this, and they pulled these characters over. Look, we have to fix whatever happened. You're supposed to be us. And something broke down, and we only learned that because whatever, they make up a reason. Problem is that they'd make Kirk and them talk techno babble at that point. And but like that would be interesting to have them be the precipitators from the other side, from that story. That would be such an interesting way to go. Instead of
Here's
having
another
it
way
be
you can do it
our
is-
perspective.
If we want to try to use something that already exists in Trek canon, it depends on how deep dive you want to get into this stuff.
Sure.
What if the universe that Strange New Worlds and everything takes place in is the same universe that Anti-Lazarus came from?
Ooh, that's a deep cut.
And you could actually make the alternative factor a decent episode.
You actually could. You totally could. And be like, wow. Wow, that would be amazing. Can we create? And then it would have to be like almost like how Doctor Who sometimes does stuff where it's like, you realize once we fix this, you will have no memory of this. Like everything's going to fix itself correctly. And it's like, all right, well, good luck. You know what I mean? So this way you don't ever have to worry about that issue. And you can literally have the episode, like that one breaking point, continue. So it's as if that episode stays static. But we go through an entire adventure that validates the events from stuff you never saw, because once it's done, time seals and heals itself, and you're done.
And you could do a thing where, like, here's how you could tie it into the actual episode.
Phoenix,
literal
anti-train.
But one way you could tie it to the if the Kirks are talking and the Spocks are talking and they're trying to figure stuff out, and they figure out that they got it, the only way to keep the universes in balance is to get the two Lazaruses to be in the hallway and seal the doors. And once that happens, it's all over. And so while we show Kirk and company working on Lazarus from the original episode, we also show Paul Wesley and his group with the other Lazarus getting in from that side.
Bro. Okay, by the way, I love the Strange New Worlds, one of the realities from Parallels from TNG. What if it was?
Yeah.
What if one of the bad, what if the end result is one of the horrible universes, and they have
one where Riker has the long beard
and they have to fix it at this point so this doesn't happen, and we get the universe we know. Wow, it would blow your mind. That would be awesome.
So there's a lot of ways they could do it. The problem is that the writers,
no other, exactly, just like that.
Yeah, while I do think the writers want to put out a good product, I don't think they want to do the homework necessary to have the knowledge base that people like us have.
And
I
agree.
That's a tough thing to sell, because with the amount of Trek canon that's out there, could you imagine if I said, "Hey, I want you to produce a show. So before you start, I want you to watch Enterprise, the original series, Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager." Discovery, Strange New World.
We're going to pay you to watch hundreds upon hundreds of hours.
But you have to watch all this stuff and retain it.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, we've seen these episodes sometimes dozens, if not hundreds of times, if they're one of our favorites, right?
It's true.
I can't even tell you how many times I've watched Balance of Terror. I could probably quote every line in that episode.
Yeah, that they probably watched it enough to go, oh, these are the events we have to mirror? Cool.
Yeah. As opposed to a quick glance, watch it, okay, put it on while you're doing other stuff. No,
I got this.
Yeah. You to actually have to retain all that information. If you're not already a fan, it's not going to happen. So, but I don't want fanfic. So, here's what my solution would be, and we know that Alex Kurtzman and the president of Skydance, we know
Phoenix says watch all of it.
Yeah, but since president of Skydance, we know you're watching.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, good friend of the show. So here's what you want to do: assemble a group, and you wouldn't have to pay a ton of money. Because trust me, most of us would do it for free.
Robert Meyer Burnett would jump on that boat in a second.
No, don't get Robert Meyer Burnett, because he'll think he's even more important. No, but go out there, find some real fans, but you find fans of
Real
each
fans,
individual show. You want to find fans of TOS, fans of TNG, people that if you ask what Star Trek is the best, oh, there's only one Star Trek. It's called Star Trek. That's how I answer that question.
That's
as a
hilarious.
but so you find people that are experts on the different eras, and you create a federation council, if you will, that work with the writers to make sure the canon is satisfied.
Maybe Strange New World is a reality that was made when Wesley Crusher made the joke he mentions in season 2 of Picard. No, for real. Absolutely. I guarantee that'd be great. That'd be hilarious.
And then he ended up becoming a cartoon.
You will watch it and you will like it.
Yeah.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. Yes, sir. That's
So
exactly right.
I think that's ultimately what needs to happen. What do you think?
Get the Okudas. They literally wrote the book on Star Trek. Yeah, they're so full of
The
themselves
Okudas
because of that. I love the Okudas, like for what their contribution to Star Trek was. But man, do they have an inflated idea of their importance? Like,
Yeah, the Okudas.
Oh, dude, they're so.
The Okudas are over glorified accountants. They did some good work. I'm not denying that.
The risk to that is just Deo says would just be a bunch of member berries like Picard.
Well, no, and I agree. That's why
you shut your mouth. I love Picard season 3. I don't care what Salty says.
No.
I got the
100%
moment
right.
I
Picard
wanted.
season 3 sucked balls.
I
But
got the moment I wanted, and I don't care. You'll never be able to take it from me.
the Enterprise flying like the Millennium Falcon into
The
the Death Star.
TNG people on the bridge lit well, the whole 9 yards, and I was like, "That's it. I'm done. I can leave."
The Enterprise flying like the Millennium Falcon into the Death Star.
I love the Enterprise flying. I read
You know what
comic
we
books.
needed?
That's how it
TIE
flies in the
fighters.
comic books.
That's the only thing we were missing. We needed TIE fighters.
Whatever. That's what they invented in Voyager.
Anyway,
Remember the little Philadelphia Flyer, whatever the hell it was called.
the Delta
again,
Flyer, you mean?
Yeah, sure, that thing. Sure, whatever. Phoenix Gunn says, again, that just sounds like whatever Otoy is doing currently. I love that you're like, whatever they're doing. Whatever those people who are related to the guy who created Trek are doing, whatever.
But my point on it.
Do they have a special permission because they're like Gene Roddenberry related? They can just do stuff?
They have some kind of relationship with them, but I don't know how it works.
I'm like, because they just do, and they're just like, here we go. Here's all the Star Trek, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude.
No, they got permission to do that stuff.
Okay, I was like, that's crazy to me. They're just like putting out stuff left and right.
But no,
When they hired the Phantom Menace,
no, they would be forbidden. And in fact, you know what's
they would be forbidden.
No, true story. When me and a couple other guys, we had a live stream with. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting Manny. What's his name that played each?
Oh, Manny. Not Manny.
We had him on, but before he could come on, he had to verify that none of us that were interviewing him were part of the Phantom Menace.
That's hilarious. Oh my god!
Thank God
you gave up your membership card.
Yeah. So, and so like when they asked me, I said, well, I have associated with them in the past, but I don't agree with them on a lot of stuff, so.
The Enterprise D and the Death Star, they were mocking Red Letter Media saying Star Wars fans got 3 Millennium Falcons, so Terry made a Millennium Enterprise fat one.
Yeah. But anyway, so my problem, my concept though, as far as making this Federation Council, they would not be writing the show. Okay.
They would just be advising.
They're only going to be advising, and they're not going to be saying, hey, throw in a reference to this, throw in a reference to that, because we're not talking about Picard Season 3, and we're not talking about Lower Decks, right? So we're talking about a serious Trek show, but we want to make sure it adheres to the history of the Federation. So what would happen would be writers come up with story. Writers present story to Council. Council says, you can't do that, because that would break canon, because here's what happened in X episode.
And here's the problem. I would not be using them that way. And if that's why they want to do it, they shouldn't be on the council. I would say, okay, tell me this violates canon. Cool. That's all I ever want to hear about that. What can I do?
They should throw some. Well, obviously, if you're
Advise where we
knowledgeable enough-
should. If you know the story that I'm trying to make, tell me how to make it work.
Well,
Don't
how
just
many
say
times-
it doesn't work. Leave it alone. Because then
Well,
you're just a bunch of people who are sitting here folding your arms with the stinky face on, going like, "No, if it isn't the original Star Trek, no, no, dude. Well, then tell me how to make it work. If you're not gonna tell me how to make it work,
do that a
if all
little
you're gonna
too
say,
well.
if all you're gonna say is, well, it needs to be like it's not like the original. It's not like Robert Meyer Burnett puts nothing into the conversation. He goes, they're creatively bankrupt. Well, then what would you do?
Well, you know, I remember I saw one thing from Robert Meyer Burnett when he was saying, "I can't believe that they don't have Doctor What's his name from The Cage." I can never remember the doctor.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know, and I was like, "Wait, that's your complaint? Like, who is complaining because he's not the doctor?"
Yeah.
I mean, I understand if you don't think Mbanga should be the senior medical officer.
There is
but-
no truth to this rumor whatsoever. I've
No,
researched
Starfleet
it very
Academy
thoroughly.
is in production.
In fact, it's been renewed for season 2.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, they just went into production on season 2, the same way that
Yeah,
the
Dr. Boyce, thank you.
yeah, the same way that the Strange New Worlds people are moving into season, or they wrap season 4 and they're moving into season 5.
Just like nobody cares about Dr. Piper from Where No Man Has Gone Before.
I know a lot of people are
Nobody
talking about
cares.
that though.
You know, the 2 old man doctors that only appeared once, nobody cares about. All right.
I kind of dig what they've done with Mbenga, to be honest. He was a guy
Yeah.
who was like and he wasn't even a guy that got a whole he got a mention.
Right.
And it like
Well, he
and
was in
they've
2 episodes.
But they've done wonders with him. I'm
Yeah.
happy that I'm like, good for you. They did a good job.
And the thing is, Eric, I don't care about Dr. Piper. I don't care. You know what? I really don't. The man is 80 years old and he shows up once, and his whole remedy to people unconscious was to shove a pill in their mouth.
I mean, would you rather shove it somewhere else?
Well, I'm saying an unconscious person, you don't shove a pill down their throat.
No, of course not, because they can't swallow it.
Yeah. I
My
mean,
thing, they didn't have hypo sprays back then?
not in Where No Man, apparently no.
No, I know,
And in
I
fact,
know,
I
they
love it.
didn't.
Like when Kirk wakes up, he's like, "No, don't give Spock a pill just yet." I got to go after Gary. You know, it's like,
I do want to know. No, okay, so Mino either says, thanks, I can't wait for Academy and Mariners comedy show. I'm actually interested to find out what they're going to do with that. Did you notice on the wall of Strange Academy, have you paused it in the trailer, on the wall itself? Lieutenant Tawny Newsome is on the wall.
oh, is it?
I
I will
was
say
fun. That was
this.
right on, man.
I have been so not interested in Starfleet Academy that I have not gone back and watched the trailer after the first time.
Really? After we, I'm only interested in that. It's tech. You really can't hate it. You can hate it. What I mean is, it takes place so far in the future that once they're done, if they leave and come, we have 300 years of stuff you could show us. Heck, we still have the Lost Era that they haven't touched on that I'd be down for seeing.
Right.
Like, I'm like, if you're gonna go forward, go.
My
do
problem
something
is
with it.
that the show looks horrible.
It does look bad. It looks, well, no, that's the problem. It doesn't. It looks slick. It looks CW. It looks clean. It looks too clean. And you have these 2 giant Academy Award winning and nominated actors that you're like, why? Star Trek's never been bogged down by personalities, and now they have.
But you know, we are getting one thing that we've never had before and always wanted.
A beautiful Klingon?
Well, I was going to say a Klingon underwear model, but yeah,
Dude, he's like, that guy is pretty.
yeah.
Like, I am shocked. I am super shocked.
Let me tell you about Old Spice. Yeah, so yeah.
I just need to know why that future